Please welcome Joseph Rosendo.
I published my first travel story in the Los Angeles Times in 1980, and I made $150. And after 15 years of being an actor, being a travel writer was a relief. I mean, they were actually judging my work instead of judging how tall I was, or short I was, or old I was, or young I was, or yellow I was, or white I was, or Cuban I was. And as far as rejection, it was absolutely a snap. I mean, as opposed to, you don't call us, we'll call you. Editors are very, very nice, and they would send me these really nice, well-written notes on very nice letterhead. Dear Joseph, I really enjoyed your informative and entertaining travel tale. And although it is not right for our publication, that does not mean it won't find a home in another. Rather than being a reflection of your talent, our inability to publish your story is a measure of the limitation of our space, our budgets, and the intelligence of our readers. It's not in there, the thing about the intelligence of the readers. I made that up. And so for 5 years, I wrote travel stories, and then I did a radio show for 20 years. In the last 7 years, my wife, Julie, and I have produced a television show on PBS. But I'm not bragging, by the way. I'm not bragging. I mean, the fifth, actually, TED speaker commandment is thou shalt not flaunt your ego. So I'm not boasting. I'm just trying to, share with you how far I've come so I can go back to how it all began. I mean, the playwright Edward Albee said, sometimes you have to go a long ways out of your way in order to come back a short distance correctly. These theater things keep rolling around in my head. But in fact, my life in theater has a lot to do with how it began. In 1969, I was a 23-year-old graduate student in theater at UCLA. And I got cast as Mr. Bert Bratt in the hit musical How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Now, this is a lower tier role, but as they say, there are no small parts, only small actors. And he does have one really good, politically incorrect song. A secretary is not a toy, no, my boy, not a toy, to fondle and dandle and playfully handle in search of some puerile joy. No, a secretary is not a toy. But I wasn't, thank you. I wasn't really worried about the size of the part because the play and me were going to Europe. We were going to be entertaining the American troops in West Germany for 2 months, and as member of a USO show. And then we'd have 2 weeks at the end to enjoy Europe on our own. And so I'd never been out of the country, so I didn't know what to expect. So the first night we were in Kaiserslautern in West Germany, 5 of us went out to dinner. And when we sat down, a very sophisticated-looking man came over and asked us if we would like some wine. And we said, sure, why not? So then he came back very shortly with a small carafe of white wine. He asked, well, which one of you would like to taste it? Now, I don't know why my fellows decided that I should be the one to taste the wine, because I really didn't know a lot about wine. I mean, 1969, the California wine industry was in its infancy. But, I was an actor, so I had seen movies, so I knew how to do it. So I took the glass, and I looked at the color, and I swirled it around, and checked out the legs, and then I sniffed it and brought in the bouquet, and then I raised it in order to bring it to my lips to taste. Gulp. My friends laughed at me. They said, Joseph, you're not supposed to swell it. You're supposed to taste it. And I turned to the waiter who was there, and I said, whatever that is, I want more. Oh, I was never tasted anything like that before. I mean, it was sweet. It was delicious. It was intoxicating. It must have been a lot like what it was for Eve when she first bit into that apple of knowledge. And so I was impressed. And that was just the beginning. I was impressed with a lot of things on that trip. I was impressed with so many things. And every time I had a new experience, my reaction was always the same. Whatever that is, I want more. I was impressed by the food. I was impressed about the care and the enthusiasm they took in creating it and serving it. I was impressed by the beauty, the natural beauty, and the man-made beauty, these cathedrals, these beautiful cathedrals that made me think about time, because I thought about that man who laid that first brick in these cathedrals that would take 500 years to build. And he did it, knowing he'd never see the end. And yet he did it anyway. And I was, as a young man from a young country, I was overwhelmed by the history. So many things that take place there. And so many beautiful, wonderful things. And so many horrible things, so many terrible things. The Dachau concentration camp, I was sickened by man's inhumanity to man. And yet I was uplifted by man's ability to survive and his persistence to persevere in the face of unimaginable horrors. And while I was in Europe, I was thrilled by their customs and their traditions and their celebrations. Oh, I was hooked. I was hooked on travel. In fact, I was hooked on a dream that I would travel all over the world and discover things and learn things for the rest of my life. I decided that if, as they said, experience is the best teacher, then travel was the best experience. So I had the what and why of my dream, but I didn't have a clue about the how. Well, fortunately, I love quotes all my life. My office is plastered with them. I mean, there have been so many beautiful, wonderful, intelligent people that have passed this way before us, and they've left us all these great pearls of wisdom, enough to fill all the depositories of treasures that ever have been created. And so every now and then, in fact, most of the time, I like to avail myself of these riches. And so at that perfect, right moment in my life, I came across this quote from Henry David Thoreau. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life he has imagined, he will meet with a success undreamt of in common hours. So I didn't need the how. I had the why and I had the what, and from then on, I endeavored to have the dream that I imagined. Now, for me to tell you what that all entailed, I'd lose the rest of my time here. But I can tell you that I was obsessed with my dream, and everything that has manifested since then was because of my endeavors. Which brings me to the topic of today's event. Tapestry of life, how our world, individual or universal, is made from accumulated decisions and events. 41 years after I traveled to Germany, I went to Rwanda, Africa, to shoot 2 television shows. Rwanda is noted for 2 things. Among its wildlife, the rarest and most famous are the mountain gorillas. The Virunga Mountains in Central Africa is the only place you can see the mountain gorillas. Their habitat is protected in 3 national parks in 4 countries. The groups that are most habituated to humans live in Rwanda, in Volcanoes National Park. Adjacent to Volcanoes National Park is the most densely populated place in Africa. Over 900 people per square mile. And surviving on $2 a day, they're among less than $2 a day. They're among the poorest. In 1967, Diane Fossey came to the Virungas to seek for a connection between gorillas and man, and instead discovered the need to protect gorillas from man. Her efforts to find a safe haven for the gorillas was in conflict with a population who relied on the wildlife for survival. As a consequence, in 1985, she was murdered. But thanks to her efforts, and the efforts of many others, the mountain gorilla population has grown from 250 in 1960 to 700 today. Groups of up to 8 are allowed to visit one of the 7 habituated groups. It costs $500 a day, and in order to find them, it may take from 1 to 3 hours of trekking through a dense forest that is also inhabited by stinging nettles, vines, and huge safari ants. Is it worth it?
I don't think I've experienced anything like this in my life, surrounded by these magnificent creatures. It's really the epitome of man and being together. They're about 6 feet away from me, looking right in my eyes. I don't know what to say. I'm completely speechless.
It is a life-altering experience, and one that must definitely be on your bucket list. A percentage of the cost of your gorilla trek goes funneled back into the community. In cultural centers, former game poachers make a new living by sharing their tribal life with visitors. The Diane Fossey Fund continues to safeguard the animals, assist the people, and look over the ecosystem that they both share. And there they have a primary school, and they also have a health center that they have run that's only a mile from the entrance to the national park. Oh yes, we knew that we had found a story. Whoa, that was so wonderful to tell. And yet, while in Rwanda, we discovered a Rwanda story that was even more compelling. To most foreigners, ghastly pictures of genocide are the only images they have of Rwanda. In 1994, during the Rwanda Civil War, they had a genocide. And that was a genocide. It was hatched from centuries of oppression and racism that was put in place by their former colonial rulers. During the genocide, more than almost 1 million people were killed in 100 days. Rather than avenge the slaughter, Rwandans forgave the perpetrators and honored the victims in 500 memorials, some of them tombs, that are scattered throughout the country. In addition, the Rwandan government has worked to heal the divisions that created the horrors. And they have instigated programs so that people can come together for a common goal.
On the last Saturday of every month, Rwandans gather to celebrate unity, discuss social issues, and serve their community.
This is a very special day. What is today?
This is a special day in Rwanda. We are doing what we call Umuganda.
Umaganda.
And Umuganda means community work.
Community work.
Yes.
This is throughout all of Rwanda?
Throughout the country.
Well, what kind of things would people do?
Each area we pick something of local importance. It can be cleaning the street, helping vulnerable people. And the activity today is plant trees at the Bank River. So this water comes from Volcanoes National Park, home of mountain gorillas, and especially during the rainy season, we have erosion. We are planting trees to protect our community farms.
Well, enough talk, let's get to work. Umaganda gives Rwandans a stake in their country and their community after Saturday. Rwanda may be one of the poorest countries in the world, but it's also one of the cleanest. Of all of our travels, only Japan is cleaner. Plastic bags are illegal, and you won't find a piece of litter or trash anywhere. I know, in a man's world, there is nothing that is perfect, but the Rwandans are certainly moving in a positive direction. Imagine what would have happened if after 9/11, President Bush would have asked us to go out and volunteer for one day of community work instead of going shopping. Imagine a U.S. where every citizen devotes one day a month to community service. Rwanda is 10,000 miles from Topanga. And yet, while we struggle to protect our neighbors and our creek and our watershed from herbicide spraying by Caltrans in Southern California, Edison, there has been talk that one way to eliminate the need for poisons is to have the community participate in the clearing of the roadside brush, which has to be done for fire and traffic safety. I see this kind of local Umaganda as a way for us to take back our scenic road and to renew our commitment to each other. From Germany to Rwanda, during my journey, during my travels, I've learned that we grow through pain or we grow through revelation. Rwanda is a prime example of growing in both ways, because of both ways, and also from creating good out of evil. Oh, the so-called first world has so many lessons it can learn from the so-called third world. That's why I love traveling in first and third world countries, or traveling in developing countries, because they're just that, developing. Rather than focus on maintaining the status quo, they're more than ready to welcome new ideas and to have them and new possibilities take root. And so I have faith. I have faith that, like the Rwandas, having suffered for so long, for centuries, the pain of division, that one day we'll realize that together we'll accomplish more than ever apart. Happy traveling.